Imagine a moment where time seems to just vanish. You're so deeply absorbed in what you're doing that the whole world outside just kind of fades away.
Mm-hmm.
No distractions, no self-consciousness, just pure, effortless engagement.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a programmer, like lost in a coding sprint, the code just flowing.
Yep.
Or a musician completely disappearing into a melody.
Or an athlete, right?
Yeah.
Perfectly executing some complex move, just moving with this incredible grace.
Exactly. That feeling, that incredible state of being where hours feel like minutes and everything just clicks. That's the essence of what we're diving into today.
It's a thing, isn't it? So many people intuitively recognize it. They often call it being in the zone.
Right. The zone.
But there's actually profound science behind it, like decades of research. And there's a practical path to cultivating it more consistently in your life.
So it's not just luck.
Not at all. And it isn't just about unlocking, peak performance. It's really about tapping into this wellspring of intrinsic joy and a deeper sense of fulfillment. It speaks to something really fundamental about us humans.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Our mission today is to explore this elusive but, wow, incredibly powerful state, often called flow.
Flow, yeah.
We want to understand not just what it is, but how it actually works in your mind, what specific conditions invite it, and maybe most importantly, what you, the listener, can do to bring more of this kind of transformative experience into your everyday life.
Especially now, right? In a world that's just constantly vying for our attention.
Totally. Understanding flow might just be the shortcut to reclaiming genuine engagement and joy.
And what's really fascinating here is how this concept, which was first formally identified, decades ago, still holds the key to optimal human experience across so many different areas.
Like where?
Well, from professional work to personal hobbies, even in managing challenging situations or navigating tough times, it's really a fundamental aspect of human flourishing. A powerful antidote, maybe, to boredom and anxiety, letting us find real satisfaction right here in the present moment.
So where did this idea of flow even come from? I mean, who first put a name to this amazing sensation we sometimes feel?
Yeah, it all traces back to a pioneering psychologist named Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. Quite a name.
Huh, yeah, definitely memorable once you hear it.
He was deeply intrigued by something he observed in artists, actually.
Artists, like painters.
Exactly. Imagine painters so utterly consumed by their canvases or sculptors just lost in the clay that they would completely forget basic needs, like forget to eat, drink, even sleep for hours on end.
Wow, literally forgetting to eat because they were so absorbed.
That's right. That intense, almost trance-like absorption sparked this huge question for him. What exactly was happening to them? What was this powerful pull that could override even the most fundamental biological urges?
That's a great starting point. So his work was trying to understand that pull.
Pretty much. Csikszentmihalyi's journey to understand this, and ultimately what makes life worth living, really began back in the 1970s. His big work, especially his 1975 book Beyond Boredom and Anxiety, was trying to figure out how some individuals managed to find this deep sense of contentment and purpose, regardless of what's going on around them.
Feeling in hardship.
Yeah, even amidst hardships or in seemingly mundane or boring situations. He wanted to uncover the inner mechanisms that allowed people to achieve happiness. And flow, he discovered, holds a significant part of the answer. It revealed this intrinsic pathway to satisfaction that kind of bypasses external conditions and focuses instead on the internal experience of engagement.
Building a life rich in those moments.
Exactly. Building a life rich in those deeply rewarding moments.
So when we talk about the zone or flow, what exactly is the definition? We've all felt it, maybe, but putting words to it is tricky.
The core definition is crucial here. Flow is the melting together of action and consciousness.
Action and consciousness melting together.
Right, okay. It's a mental state of energized focus, full involvement, and, this is important, profound enjoyment in the process itself.
So not just the outcome, but the doing.
Precisely. Think of it as a state where your attention is so completely absorbed by an activity that everything else just falls away. Your focus is singular, your actions feel almost effortless, and your sense of time often gets completely warped.
Right. Hours feeling like minutes. I've definitely had that.
Exactly. Or time disappears entirely. It's about finding this precise balance between your skill level and the challenge of the task. It demands a high level of concentration, all your attention is fully on it. And critically, it's intrinsically rewarding.
Intrinsically rewarding.
Meaning the activity itself is the reward, rather than some external outcome like money or praise. That inherent positivity is what makes it so powerful for our well-being.
That idea of melting together of action and consciousness is really interesting. So let's dig into that idea of consciousness a bit more. Did Csikszentmihalyi have a specific definition for that?
He did. He defined consciousness as intentionally ordered information.
Intentionally ordered information. Okay, what does that mean in practice?
Basically, it's our ability to direct our sensations, our feelings, thoughts, and intentions. It's the opposite of, say, dreaming, where your thoughts and experiences are largely uncontrolled and chaotic.
Gotcha. So when you're awake and focused.
Right. When you're in control of your consciousness, you can choose where to place your attention, filter out irrelevant stuff, and sustain focus. And this concept highlights that flow isn't just some happy accident. It's intricately tied to our capacity to manage our own mental experience.
So it's a skill, in a way, managing our consciousness.
In a big way. It's about how well we can intentionally order the information in our minds rather than being swept away by random thoughts or, constant notifications from our phones.
So what does this all mean for us, practically speaking?
Well, it means your ability to direct your attention at will, to tune out distractions, and to concentrate for as long as it takes to achieve a goal. That's really the mark of someone who's truly in control of their consciousness.
And that helps you enjoy life more. Seems counterintuitive, like control versus enjoyment.
It does seem that way,
Yeah.
but it's a foundational skill for mental well-being. And ironically, it's often the very thing that helps us truly enjoy our lives because we're present and engaged rather than distracted or constantly reacting to things.
Okay, that makes sense. Being present.
Exactly. When you're able to deliberately focus your attention and maintain that focus, you're not just enhancing your productivity, you're actively shaping the quality of your own subjective experience. It leads to a more ordered and satisfying inner life.
Taking charge of your internal world.
Precisely. Taking charge of your internal world rather than letting it be dictated by external forces. That in itself is a profound kind of freedom.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. The concept of flow being autotelic. Can you break that down?
Autotelic, yeah, it's a great word. It comes from the Greek auto for self and telos for goal.
Self-goal.
Essentially, yeah. It means the activity is pursued purely for its own sake, for the sheer joy of the pursuit itself, not for external rewards like praise or glory or even money.
So you're doing it just because you love doing it.
That's the heart of it. And this isn't just about feeling good. It's about fundamentally rewiring our internal reward system.
So?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it suggests that constantly chasing external validation, what others think, the next promotion, the bigger house, can actually diminish fulfillment in the long run.
The hedonic treadmill idea.
Exactly that. We're so often driven by what's next or what will people think. But true satisfaction, what Csikszentmihalyi called optimal experience, often comes when the process itself is the reward.
If the doing is the satisfaction.
Yes. If the activity itself gives you pleasure, you're less dependent on external outcomes for your happiness. This frees you from that endless pursuit of external validation. You cultivate this deep internal wellspring of joy that's self-sustaining. It aligns with a lot of philosophical traditions, actually finding contentment in the present moment, in the act of doing, not just waiting for some future result.
Okay, so we understand what flow is and why it's so powerful for us. But practically, for you listening, how do we actually get into this state? What are the conditions that invite it? It feels elusive sometimes.
It can feel that way. But the core idea, the absolute sweet spot, is finding that perfect balance. It's all about the balance between the perceived challenge of a task and your perceived skills.
Challenge and skills.
Yeah, think of it visually, maybe like on a graph. If a task is too simple, way below your skill level, what happens?
You get bored, totally bored. Mind wanders.
Exactly. You disengage. But if it's too difficult, far beyond your current skills.
It's anxiety, overwhelm. You just want to quit.
Right. So flow lives in that fascinating sweet spot, often called the flow channel. It's just beyond your current capabilities.
So it pushes you a bit.
It pushes you, yes. It's where you're challenged, but not overwhelmed. It demands your full attention, but doesn't feel impossible. And this dynamic adjustment is key to sustaining flow. It's not a fixed point.
Right, it's fluid.
It's a fluid dance between pushing your limits and growing your capacity. When challenges are too low, you need to increase them to avoid boredom. When they're too great, you need to learn new skills to meet them, reducing that anxiety.
So you're constantly adjusting.
This continuous seeking of the optimal challenge is precisely where growth happens. It makes flow not just enjoyable, but actually deeply developmental. And interestingly, the further you are from that center point of average challenge and skill, the greater the intensity of the state, whether that's flow, anxiety, or boredom.
Wow. Okay, so when researchers like Nakamura and Csikszentmihalyi broke down the actual experience of flow, they identified some key factors, right? Like a checklist for it.
Yes, exactly. They identified 6 components that really describe the subjective experience of being in flow.
Okay, what are they?
First, intense and focused concentration. Your attention is just completely absorbed by the task. No room for stray thoughts, like a surgeon maybe, during a delicate operation. Total focus.
Okay, focus, number 1.
2, merging of action and awareness. You feel completely one with what you're doing. There's no separation. A dancer might feel their body is the music, not just moving to it.
Action and awareness merge. Got it.
3, loss of self-consciousness. This is a big one. That amazing sense of losing yourself. You're not worried about how you look or how you're performing or what others think. The inner critic just goes silent.
Oh, I like the sound of that. Silencing the inner critic.
Number 4, sense of personal control. You feel a high degree of agency over the activity. Even if it's challenging, you feel competent and in command, like a chess player feeling totally in control of their strategy.
I control.
5, distortion of temporal experience. Time gets weird. Your sense of time gets completely warped. Hours feel like minutes or just disappear entirely. One of the most common reports.
Time flies when you're having fun. Or flowing.
Pretty much. And finally, number 6, intrinsic reward. The activity itself is so enjoyable that you pursue it purely for its own sake. The painting, the code, the perfect tennis shot, the joy is in the doing, not just the outcome.
So the proposed definition really captures it then. Flow is an intrinsically rewarding state of absorption in a task where a high degree of control feels more effortless than normal.
That effortless control is a hallmark. It doesn't mean no effort, but the effort feels natural, fluid, unburdened by self-doubt. It's that peak performance where actions just unfold almost spontaneously, a truly optimal human experience.
Okay, that's the theory. But practically, for us listening, how do we actually trigger this? How do we invite more flow into our lives, especially when, let's be honest, our days are often filled with obligations that don't inherently feel autotelic?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's less about forcing flow, which usually backfires.
Right, pressure kills it.
Exactly. It's more about creating the optimal conditions for it to emerge. First step. Find your personal flow triggers.
My triggers. How do I do that?
It's about reflection, really. Think about activities where you naturally lose track of time. Where do you feel fully absorbed and energized? Those are your unique entry points, your personal roadmap.
So pay attention to those moments.
Yes. It often involves a mix of your interests, your skills, and the task's challenges. What ignites your passion? What gives you a sense of purpose? What sparks your curiosity? Sometimes it's having a really clear goal or that balanced challenge we talked about, maybe even a sense of healthy risk.
Like for a writer, maybe it's a specific type of research.
Right.
Or for a gardener, like meticulously weeding.
Could be anything. It's very individual.
Okay, so I've identified some potential activities or conditions. What's the next practical step?
An essential next step is establishing clear, actionable goals. This gives you a roadmap for your efforts and enhances that sense of purpose, which is a powerful precondition for flow.
Clear goals, like SMART goals.
Exactly like SMART goals. Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Having those clear objectives prevents you from drifting or getting overwhelmed. And you need to regularly review and adjust them, keep them focused and motivating. So that's like fine-tuning an instrument before you play.
Okay, SMART goals. And this seems linked to mindset too, right? This idea of an internal locus of control.
Absolutely huge. It's about believing you have the agency to influence your own results, rather than feeling like things just happen to you or it's all down to luck. Autonomy is a massive flow trigger because it gives you that sense of mastery.
Believing you're in the driver's seat.
Precisely. This mindset cultivates the confidence crucial for flow. So instead of fearing failure, you start to view it as feedback, as a stepping stone.
How do you cultivate that?
Things like practicing self-affirmations, setting meaningful goals that genuinely align with your values, visualizing success, and really importantly, learning from failures. See them as data points for improvement, not reasons to stop. It's about building that inner conviction.
That you're the architect of your experience. I like that.
And hand in hand with that is aligning your passion and purpose. When your actions genuinely align with your deepest intrinsic motivations, the task itself transforms. It becomes its own reward.
So finding what genuinely excites you, not just what you think you should be doing.
Exactly. Set clear intentions for how your efforts align with your values. Seek the inherent satisfaction in the process, not just the external pat on the back. This infuses your efforts with meaning, turning work into something fulfilling, not just a grind.
Reflecting on the positive impact, maybe.
That can definitely amplify it, yes. Seeing how your actions contribute, whether to your own growth or others' well-being, makes it truly autotelic.
And finally, we circle back to that core balance, balancing challenge and skills. It sounds simple, but you said it's a dynamic dance.
It truly is. It means consistently choosing tasks that are appropriately challenging. They stretch you just a bit, but don't break you. Then, as your skills grow, you gradually increase the complexity.
Embracing a growth mindset.
That's the key phrase, embracing a growth mindset. Seeing challenges not as threats, but as opportunities to expand your abilities. And here's a crucial point to reiterate.
Yeah.
You can't force it. Flow is organic. Trying too hard creates pressure and anxiety, the enemies of flow. You need to create the conditions, set the stage, and then let it happen naturally. Allow the performance to unfold.
Beyond these personal strategies, how much does our actual environment play a role? Because, man, a noisy open plan office or trying to work with kids running around, that can kill flow instantly.
Oh, massively. Optimizing your environment and your habits is absolutely vital. Coping with interruptions is like a lifelong practice in our modern world.
Tell me about it.
But even small tweaks to your physical space and your daily routines can lead to huge improvements. Think about writers. They often have very specific routines, right?
Yeah, same pen, same place, same time.
Exactly. Same music, maybe. Or sometimes it's the opposite, just ignoring routines and starting, as the author E.B. White apparently suggested.
So experiment.
Experimentation is key. Find what works for you. It's about consciously designing your physical and maybe even your temporal space, like blocking out time to minimize distractions and maximize your potential for that deep, focused work. Maybe it's noise-canceling headphones, a specific deep work corner, or just setting a timer for an uninterrupted 30 minutes, whatever helps you get in the zone.
Yeah, the modern world is just a constant barrage of distractions, isn't it? We've all been there, trying to get deep into a project and then ding, an email alert, buzz, social media notification, or, a family member needs something. It feels like a constant battle to stay in the zone in our hyper-connected world.
It really is.
I'm reminded of that classic, almost legendary anecdote about the programmer.
Oh, the one who missed his flight.
Yeah, arrived like half an hour early, had some urgent coding, sat down with his laptop. Next thing he knows, the flight's gone.
200 passengers had boarded, announcements made, plane took off. All while he was so deep in flow, he didn't notice a thing.
It's kind of amazing, but also disruptive.
Yeah.
Still, that ability to get that absorbed is an incredibly valuable skill today, right?
It perfectly illustrates the double-edged sword, doesn't it? That deep absorption is a remarkable human capacity. But our environment now seems almost designed to constantly pull us out of it.
Yeah, it feels that way.
And for many of us, especially knowledge workers, projects are measured in hours or days, often broken into multiple focused sessions. It's less a question of if you'll be interrupted, but when and how quickly you can get back on track afterwards.
That re-engagement time is tough.
It is. There's a cognitive cost to these interruptions, often called attention residue. It takes significant time and mental energy just to regain your previous level of focus.
Which brings us neatly to multitasking. We often think we're being super efficient juggling multiple things, don't we? Like it's a badge of honor.
We do.
But for anything that requires real brain power, real concentration, multitasking is actually a productivity killer. It's like trying to have two deep conversations at once, you end up hearing neither properly. And you definitely don't enjoy either one.
That's a great analogy. For most cognitive work, multitasking is indeed quite detrimental. Our brains just aren't designed to simultaneously process multiple complex streams of information effectively.
So what are we actually doing when we think we're multitasking?
It's really rapid task switching.
Huh.
And each switch incurs a cognitive cost. Think about the classic example. Talking on the phone while driving.
Yeah, definitely dangerous.
Studies consistently show it dramatically increases accident rates because your cognitive load is split. Or think about students trying to study with a social media tab open.
Guilty. Or I used to be.
Research shows that constantly switching between tasks like that taxes cognitive processing capacity. It leads to increased stress, cognitive overload, and often significantly worse performance. It's very rarely a time saver for complex work. It's a false economy of effort that compromises both quality and efficiency.
Okay, so constant interruptions and multitasking are the enemies of flow. But how do we build resilience? We can't always control our environment perfectly, right? Especially if you're working from home with family around or in a busy office.
That's the reality for many. The good news is you're not a computer. You don't have to just chug away infinitely without interruption. You can build resilience.
How?
A key strategy is meticulous planning and really focusing on working on one thing at a time. And breaking down larger projects into smaller, more manageable tasks is incredibly effective.
Chunking it down.
Exactly, chunking it down. This means you can tackle them in focused bursts. It makes it much easier to pick up where you left off if, or rather when, an interruption strikes.
So design your work for focus bursts, not marathons.
Precisely. It's about designing your work so you can dive deep for a shorter, intense period, acknowledging the realities of modern life while still optimizing for that deep engagement.
In this approach, breaking things down, it seems like it would also create more frequent opportunities for immediate rewards, which I know is a big motivator.
Absolutely spot on. When you complete a smaller, discrete task within a larger project, you get that satisfying hit of accomplishment. Dopamine kicks in.
It feels good.
It feels good. And that feeling fuels motivation for the next step. Researchers have actually found that these immediate rewards can be a better predictor of whether someone will achieve their long-term goals than just focusing solely on the distant outcome.
Really? More than the big goal itself.
Often, yes. Think about exercise. Whether someone actually enjoys their exercise classes or their workout routine is often a better predictor of them sticking with it long-term than just focusing on the future health benefits. The intrinsic enjoyment of the process becomes this powerful driver.
So it's a fascinating insight then. Enjoying the process itself is often a better predictor of success than just having your eye on the prize. If you actually enjoy the run, you're more likely to keep running. How does that connect directly back to flow?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, especially for complex or long-term projects, deliberately creating those conditions that allow you to enter a flow state provide that intrinsic good feeling during the work itself.
So flow is the immediate reward sometimes.
Exactly. That enjoyment, that feeling of being in the zone is a powerful immediate reward that keeps you going. It means the entire journey, not just the destination, becomes deeply satisfying. You're not just slogging towards a goal. You're finding joy and meaning in every focused step along the way. That's a truly sustainable form of motivation that external rewards just can't replicate.
What's so cool about flow is that it isn't just for like super focused brainiacs or elite athletes. It seems to show up everywhere, right?
It really does.
From the competitive sports arena to the classroom to just jamming out on a guitar, this state of deep absorption fuels performance and enjoyment across incredibly diverse fields. It feels universal.
It really is remarkably adaptable. While the specific activities vary wildly, the core experience of flow remains incredibly consistent across different domains. It highlights these fundamental principles of human engagement and optimal performance.
Yeah.
It's a testament, really, to our universal drive for mastery and meaning.
Let's look at some concrete examples. In sports, obviously, being in the zone is practically a cliche, but it perfectly captures flow, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Think of extreme athletes. Mountain climbers often talk about experiencing flow when they focus solely on scaling a cliff face, their minds completely quieted, thinking only about the next handhold, the next foothold.
Total presence.
Total presence.
Yeah.
Chess players get so absorbed that everything but the board, the pieces, their strategy just becomes insignificant noise. And think about elite racers.
Like Formula One.
Yeah, Formula One driver Ayrton Senna famously described a qualifying lap where he felt he was driving instinctively, like he was in a different dimension, almost like being in a tunnel going faster and faster without conscious thought.
Wow.
Or motorcycle racer Wayne Gardner described an above-body experience after a big win, feeling like he was watching himself race via remote control.
That's wild. Almost mystical.
It can feel that way. And in martial arts like Japanese Budo, there's this concept called mushin, literally no mind.
No mind.
Yeah, it describes an effortless, automatic, almost instinctual performance where technique just flows without conscious thought. It allows for incredibly fast and precise reactions because you're not thinking, you're just doing.
That idea of no mind, letting go of conscious control, that's fascinating. What about in the world of music? Is it similar?
Very much so. In music, drummers often describe a kind of group flow or getting into the groove when they sense this collective energy driving the beat.
Group flow. Interesting.
Yeah, or they talk about being in the pocket with a bass guitarist, where their rhythms just merge seamlessly, creating this unified, powerful sound that feels almost effortless. It's a collective shared sense of absorption, where individual musicians contribute to something bigger, an amplified experience.
Like a jazz quartet improvising.
A perfect example. When they're truly listening and responding to each other, they can hit a collective flow state that's incredibly rare and powerful, leading to spontaneous musical brilliance that maybe none of them could achieve alone.
Okay, so sports, music. What about something more everyday, like education? How does flow theory apply there? Seems less obvious.
Actually, it deeply informs how progressive curricula are designed for optimal skill development. It's all about aligning tasks with students' current skill levels that challenge skill balance again,
Right.
and providing immediate constructive feedback, fostering an environment that encourages curiosity. A flow-informed curriculum might emphasize, say, project-based learning where students tackle challenges just beyond their current abilities, rather than just rote memorization.
Making learning more engaging.
Exactly. Creating optimal learning environments that are challenging yet supportive, tailored to students' evolving interests. It shifts the focus from just transmitting information to fostering deep, intrinsic engagement. This leads to better motivation, greater well-being, and honestly, more effective classroom management because the students are intrinsically engaged, almost self-governing in their learning.
That makes total sense. Kids, or really anyone learning, are way more engaged when they're challenged just the right amount. And speaking of engagement, games and gaming, that feels like a natural home for flow.
Oh, absolutely. Games are often inherently designed to create entertainment through intrinsic motivation. They're practically perfect examples of flow-inducing activities.
How so?
Well, think about it. Players operate right at the edge of their competency, constantly guided by clear goals and immediate, unambiguous feedback. Instantly if you succeeded or failed at something.
Yeah, the feedback loop is super tight.
Exactly. This enjoyable experience encourages continued play, often leading to that deep absorption gamers might call a TV trance or game trance. Good games hit on so many laws of learning. Intrinsic motivation, immediate feedback, escalating challenges, intense, rewarding experiences that make the activity itself the reward.
It's almost like they're engineered for flow.
In many ways, yes. And this extends to the design of other intrinsically motivated computer systems, too. Designers intentionally integrate elements like cognitive absorption joy, control, curiosity, focused immersion, that feeling of time distortion to create really engaging user experiences, not just in games.
That's a great point about intentional design. So how does this translate to the workplace? Because for many of us, work is where we spend most of our time, but it doesn't always feel very flow-inducing.
Right, but flow is actually critical for workplace satisfaction and achievement. When tasks have clear goals, provide immediate feedback, and strike that balance between the opportunity and an employee's capacity.
Challenge and skill.
Challenge and skill, exactly. Individuals can frequently enter flow states, even at work. This leads to those intrinsic rewards we talked about and persistence, transforming otherwise mundane tasks into meaningful engagement.
Finding flow in your job.
It contributes to what Csikszentmihalyi called good work. Not just being productive, but actually enjoying doing your best while contributing to something beyond yourself.
What kinds of work tasks lend themselves to flow?
Things like complex planning, innovative problem solving, in-depth evaluation tasks that require concentration and skill are strong predictors of transient flow states. And when employees experience more flow, it demonstrably boosts productivity, fosters innovation, and significantly enhances employee development and even retention. It's about creating an atmosphere where people don't just clock in and out, but truly flourish and feel a sense of purpose.
Now, most of these examples have focused on individual experiences of flow, but you mentioned group flow with musicians. Is that a recognized thing? What about when a whole team is in sync?
That's a fantastic observation. And yes, it leads to this emerging concept of group flow. While Csikszentmihalyi primarily focused on individual flow, there's increasing research into this shared sense of engagement, focus, and synergy within a team.
So the whole team is in the zone together.
That's the idea. And it can be even more powerful, potentially due to amplified neurochemical release in group settings, creating this collective drive and shared awareness that transcends individual efforts.
Can you give an example?
Imagine a top surgical team working seamlessly, or a synchronized dance troupe, or even a high-performing business unit collaborating so fluidly that they achieve this collective zone.
Wow.
There's still a lot to learn about group flow, the specific dynamics, the conditions that foster it, but the initial indications suggest its immense potential for collective achievement and well-being, especially in dynamic, collaborative environments where innovation and rapid problem-solving are key. It's a really exciting area of research.
Okay, so flow clearly helps with performance, focus, learning, all that good stuff. But why should you, listening right now, really care about achieving flow? Is there something deeper, like a more profound sense of fulfillment that comes with it, beyond just getting more done?
Oh, absolutely. It goes much deeper than just productivity. Flow experiences are innately positive. They produce intense feelings of enjoyment and contribute directly to overall happiness and life satisfaction.
So flow makes you happier.
Csikszentmihalyi argued pretty strongly that happiness is largely derived not from passive consumption or just having good external circumstances, but from personal development and growth. And flow experiences are a direct pathway to that growth.
How so?
Well, when you're in flow, you're constantly stretching your skills, right? You're enhancing your competence, pushing your boundaries, but in a way that feels deeply satisfying, not stressful. It's about actively constructing your own well-being through engaged living, not just waiting for happiness to happen to you.
It sounds like it really transforms the very fabric of your experience. What are some of the specific feelings people report when they're actually in that state? You mentioned a few earlier.
Yeah, people who have experienced flow consistently describe about 7 specific feelings. Let's list them out.
Okay.
1, complete involvement, just total immersion, all attention focused.
Got it.
2, a sense of ecstasy. Now, not necessarily like jumping for joy ecstasy, but more a feeling of being outside of everyday reality, deeply absorbed.
Okay, like transported.
Sort of. 3, inner clarity, knowing exactly what needs to be done step by step and getting immediate feedback on how you're doing.
Clarity.
Nice.
Yes.
The activity's doable. That crucial belief that your skills are adequate to meet the challenge, even though it's a stretch, you feel capable.
Confidence in the moment.
Exactly.
5.
Serenity, a feeling of peace, freedom from the usual worries and frustrations of daily life. Just calm focus.
Yeah.
6, timelessness. That distorted perception of time. We talked about hours passing like minutes.
The time warp.
And 7, intrinsic motivation. The activity itself becomes its own reward. You're doing it purely for the enjoyment of doing it.
That feeling of the activity being doable despite the challenge and the serenity, those really stand out to me. And it sounds like this state directly impacts our ability to learn and perform better too, right? The growth aspect.
It definitely does. This is what we can call the growth principle of flow. Flow inherently implies stretching your skills to meet increasing challenges.
So you're always learning, always improving.
Right. It leads to continuous personal growth, increased competence, and a stronger sense of efficacy, believing you can do things. It boosts intrinsic motivation and self-directed learning because the process itself is enjoyable. You want to get better because getting never feels good.
And there's research backing this up in specific fields.
Oh, yeah. Research in sports, for instance, consistently shows that athletes with higher skills tend to experience less anxiety and higher self-confidence when they're in flow. It indicates a clear link between this state and optimal performance, as well as reducing things like performance anxiety.
So it helps you perform under pressure.
It seems to. While the direct, immediate causal effect of flow on performance in that exact moment can be complex and sometimes subtle to measure, the reciprocal relationship is clear. Good performance makes flow more likely, and experiencing flow significantly increases your subsequent motivation to perform and improve. It fuels the desire to keep going, keep practicing, keep growing.
Okay, now, no powerful psychological concept comes without its nuances and complexities, right? Even something as seemingly positive as flow must have potential pitfalls or has faced some critical views. We should probably explore that side too.
That's a really crucial point. Can something so beneficial also have a dark side or limitations? Absolutely. Critics have raised important questions. One area is around the universal definition and measurement of flow.
How do you even measure it accurately?
It's tricky. The experience can vary significantly across individuals, different cultures, different contexts. It might not always be uniformly positive for everyone in every situation. Plus, a lot of studies rely on self-reports after the fact.
Which can be unreliable.
Well, they can be prone to memory bias. Or maybe you remember it as being more amazing than it was an idealized recollection. This makes it challenging to precisely measure flow in real time. That's why researchers are constantly developing new methods, like the experience sampling method, or ESM.
ESM.
Yeah, where participants get prompted randomly throughout the day, maybe by a pager or an app, to report their current state right then and there. It helps capture flow closer to when it actually happens.
Interesting. Now, Csikszentmihalyi himself, the father of flow, apparently warned about the dangers of flow, that it can become addictive, making the self captive of a certain kind of order and unwilling to cope with the ambiguities of life. What does that really mean in practice? Sounds serious.
It is a profound warning. It suggests that while flow is fantastic for enriching life, an over-reliance on it, or pursuing flow mainly as a form of escapism, can have negative consequences.
How so? Like getting addicted to a video game.
That's one potential example. Someone might become so accustomed to the highly ordered, predictable, and instantly rewarding state of flow in a specific activity, maybe complex coding, or an immersive video game, or even extreme sports, that they become unwilling or unable to cope with the messy, ambiguous, often less than perfect realities of everyday life.
They avoid the hard stuff.
They might avoid difficult conversations, mundane but necessary chores, or just the inherent uncertainties and frustrations of human relationships, because those things don't offer the immediate clarity and predictable rewards of their preferred flow state. The self becomes captive of a certain kind of order, meaning it struggles when that perfect order is absent.
So it's about balance.
Exactly. It highlights that while optimal experiences are vital, a balanced, fulfilling life requires engaging with the full spectrum of human experience, not just seeking refuge in the perfectly ordered parts.
That's a fascinating and, sobering thought. And I think I've also heard some critics raise concerns about how flow concepts are sometimes applied, maybe commercially.
Indeed. Another critical viewpoint concerns the application of flow, particularly through this trend of gamification in various contexts: work, education, marketing.
Making things feel like a game.
Right. And while gamification can leverage flow principles to make tasks more engaging, some critics argue it can sometimes cross a line. It might convert what was once enjoyable play into a form of unpaid labor, or blur the lines between work and leisure in ways that could be exploitative.
How could it be exploitative?
Well, for example, making mundane work tasks fun through points, badges, leaderboards, all gamified elements might make employees feel compelled to overengage or perform extra work without additional compensation, precisely because the activity taps into that powerful intrinsic motivation of flow.
Manipulating your motivation. Potentially. It raises important ethical questions about using these powerful psychological concepts. We need to ensure that the pursuit of engagement doesn't inadvertently lead to burnout or diminish people's sense of agency over their own work and time. The research focus has been heavily on the positive aspects, which is great, but we also need to consider these potential negative emotions, conflicts, or burnout from overuse for a truly holistic understanding.
Okay, let's switch gears slightly. For a long time, there's been this big debate, or maybe just confusion. Mindfulness and flow. Are they two sides of the same coin? Or are they completely different experiences? They both involve focus, being present. It's easy to see why they get mixed up. What's the real distinction?
That's a great question, and one that comes up a lot. Both mindfulness and flow have gained huge attention recently for enhancing psychological health, performance, personal development, all that good stuff.
Right, they're both kind of buzzwords sometimes. They can be. But what's fascinating is how both states genuinely do contribute to well-being and performance, especially in areas like sports or demanding intellectual work. And meta-analysis studies looking at multiple studies suggest there's actually a bidirectional relationship.
Meaning they influence each other.
Yeah, they can enhance each other, yet they maintain fundamental differences in their actual mechanisms and, crucially, in the subjective experience itself. They are distinct, but often complementary, not the same thing at all.
Okay, so let's break down those fundamental differences then. You used the term awareness versus absorption before. Can you elaborate on that?
Let's use that river analogy again. Mindfulness is like cultivating an observer of consciousness. You're standing on the riverbank, watching the flow of the water, your thoughts, feelings, sensations, with a clear, non-judgmental awareness.
So you're aware of your awareness.
Exactly. You maintain a reflective awareness of each moment. You're aware of time passing, bodily sensations, emotions, thoughts. There's a clear separation between the observer you and what is being observed, your experience. You're fully present, but you are aware of your presence.
Okay, mindful presence is aware presence. How does flow contrast with that? Are you still on the riverbank?
Sharply contrasting. In flow, you lose that inner observer entirely. You are not on the riverbank. You are swept away by the current, becoming one with the river itself.
Total absorption.
Total absorption. Self-consciousness gets absorbed into the activity. Individual moments blur into a continuous stream, and you literally lose awareness of time and even of yourself as separate from the action. As Csikszentmihalyi himself put it, a person in flow has no dualistic perspective. He is aware of his actions, but not of the awareness itself.
So if you suddenly become aware that you're aware,
Flow is interrupted. Exactly. If that reflective awareness splits off, flow breaks. You literally cannot be fully in flow and simultaneously be mindfully observing yourself being in flow. One is about presence with self-awareness, the other is about total absorption without it.
wow, that distinction is critical. And the differences go deeper, right? Even down to how our brains operate in these states.
Indeed. Another key difference is in judgment. Mindfulness explicitly cultivates a non-judgmental attitude toward experience. You accept whatever arises, thoughts, feelings, without preference or evaluation.
Just observe it.
Just observe it. Flow, conversely, requires clear goals and immediate, unambiguous feedback. This inherently involves evaluating your performance against specific criteria. A form of subtle judgment is happening constantly as you calibrate your action to meet the goal. You need to know if you're on track.
So mindfulness is non-evaluative, flow involves evaluation, and the brain activity itself is actually different.
Yes, there are significant neural distinctions being uncovered. Flow is associated with something called transient hypofrontality.
Hypofrontality, meaning less frontal lobe activity.
Basically, yes, a temporary suppression or quieting of activity in specific regions of the prefrontal cortex and medial temporal lobes. This quieting of the inner critic, or the planning, self-reflecting brain, allows well-learned processes and skills to run effortlessly, automatically, uninhibited by overthinking or self-doubt.
That's why actions in flow feel so fluid and intuitive.
That's the leading theory. Mindfulness, on the other hand, often actively activates the frontal lobe. Long-term mindfulness practice can even increase gray matter density in these areas, strengthening attention regulation and executive functions, the very functions that seem to quiet down during flow.
So they're almost antagonistic processes in the brain. One quiets certain parts, the other activates them.
In a way, yes. It paints a pretty clear picture of two distinct neurological experiences supporting two distinct subjective states.
Okay, this brings us to the state versus trait idea, which you mentioned makes the connection between mindfulness and flow more nuanced. Can you explain that?
Right, this is where the full picture really emerges.
Yeah.
Let's talk about state mindfulness first. That's when you consciously, deliberately try to bring mindful attention to your current experience in a given moment.
It's like doing a mindfulness exercise.
Exactly. That conscious effort to reflect on your experience, to observe it, can actually inhibit the total absorption needed for flow. It's like our analogy again. You can't simultaneously stand on the riverbank observing the stream, state mindfulness, and be swept away by it at flow. The reflective awareness pulls you out.
So actively trying to be mindful while trying to get into flow might actually prevent flow.
It could, yes. The intention is different. However, and this is the crucial bit that's not the whole story, while state mindfulness might inhibit flow in the moment, trait mindfulness is different.
Trait mindfulness.
This is the kind of mindfulness that develops through regular, sustained practice. It becomes less of an effortful doing and more of an innate disposition and effortless effort, just how you naturally tend to be present and aware.
So it becomes part of who you are.
Exactly. And this trait mindfulness is actually linked to increases in trait flow. People who are habitually more mindful tend to experience flow more often.
How does that work if they're distinct?
Because a person who is habitually mindful has, through their practice, cultivated foundational mental conditions that are highly conducive to flow. Things like enhanced attention control, reduced mind wandering, greater emotional regulation, general composure. These are all things that make it easier to slip into flow when the conditions, like challenge skill balance, are right.
Ah, so regular mindfulness practice builds the underlying capacity for flow.
Precisely. Trait mindfulness creates fertile ground for flow to arise more naturally, without needing to consciously try to be mindful during the flow-inducing activity itself.
So they're distinct states, but they're not necessarily competing. In fact, they sound incredibly complementary for overall well-being. It's not an either situation at all.
Exactly. That's a perfect way to put it. They are complementary pathways. Mindfulness strengthens crucial mental capacities like self-awareness, emotional regulation, resilience, things vital for processing all kinds of experiences, learning from them, especially the difficult ones. Flow offers those peak moments of performance, skill development, intense joy, and profound growth.
Different tools for different jobs, maybe?
Absolutely. The optimal strategy often involves alternating between them, using each state to enhance the other. Think of it as two different modes in your mental toolkit, each perfectly suited for different phases of engaging with life.
So it's like a powerful dance then. Maybe mindful preparation, surveying the situation, setting intentions, then full throttle flow to act with total absorption, and then maybe mindful reflection afterwards to observe the results, learn, integrate the experience.
That's a beautiful way to conceptualize it. Each state enhances the other, creating this powerful positive feedback loop for growth and fulfillment in your life. It's a dynamic interplay that deepens both your understanding and your lived experience. Using both strategically allows for both peak engagement and wise integration. #outro.
Okay, so what are the really big takeaways from our deep dive into flow today? What should you, the listener, really hold on to? First, I think, remember that flow is that absolutely exhilarating state of total absorption, where joy and focus meet and time just transform.
That feeling of being completely involved,
Yeah.
where the activity itself is the reward, truly autotelic.
And crucially, it's not just some lucky accident, right? It's not just random.
Not at all. You can absolutely cultivate it. You can invite it into your life more often by intentionally striking that delicate balance between challenge and skill, by setting those clear, actionable goals, actively minimizing distractions, and really aligning your activities with your genuine passions and intrinsic motivations.
It takes deliberate effort to shape your world for it.
It does, shaping your internal and external world. But the payoff, in terms of fulfillment and performance, is immense.
And another crucial point, you can't force flow, can you? Trying too hard seems to kill it.
Exactly. It thrives in an environment of relaxation and genuine interest, not pressure or anxiety. You create the conditions, you invite it, and then you have to kind of let go and let it happen naturally. It's about allowing, not gripping tighter.
And finally, flow and mindfulness. They're distinct states, definitely different brain signatures, different purposes. One for absorbed action, the other for reflective awareness.
But they work together beautifully as complementary pathways. Practicing mindfulness can build that foundational mental agility, that attention control that makes flow more accessible. Using both can enhance your performance, deepen your learning, and ultimately bring much greater satisfaction and fulfillment to your life.
They support each other, leading to a richer, more present existence overall.
Well said.
We've explored how embracing flow can really transform your daily experience, making even mundane tasks potentially rewarding and unlocking this deeper sense of joy. But as we leave you today, maybe think about this. If a joyful life is, as Csikszentmihalyi suggested, an individual creation that cannot just be copied from a recipe, what unique ingredients of flow will you intentionally add to your own daily creation to make it truly satisfying? How will you actively design your life to invite more of that effortless engagement?
And maybe, building on that, perhaps the ultimate challenge isn't just finding your flow, but integrating its lessons. Integrating the focus, the intrinsic motivation, the skill building, to cultivate a life where you're not just productive, but profoundly present and purposeful. Even when things aren't perfectly ordered, even amidst life's inherent ambiguities and constant distractions, living a life that's truly in tune with your deepest self, where the journey itself, the process, really does become the reward.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. We really hope you've gained some valuable insights to help you find your own zone more often and make your everyday life just a little more vibrant.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep flowing.